In a future year in America, children and teenagers suddenly die from a terrifying disease that only affects children. The disease is highly contagious and spreads extremely quickly. However, the disease is only lethal to children and does not affect adults at all. As a result, 90% of children and teenagers lose their lives, with only 10% surviving, and the surviving children all become abnormal. The disease awakens a special power in those children, making them extremely dangerous. The government demands that all parents surrender the surviving children to camps for treatment and research. At that time, the US president announces that his son Clancy has overcome the disease and is now being treated at the camp. His condition is gradually improving. Inside the camp, doctors and scientists categorize the children and their disorders into 5 colors. First is the green color for children possessing superior intelligence. Second is the blue color for those with the ability to control objects through their thoughts. The third group is the yellow color, possessing the ability to control electricity. The first 3 groups are considered relatively harmless and are only treated in medical camps. The fourth group is evaluated as a threat. That is the red color for those who can control fire. And the fifth group is the orange color, the most dangerous group for those with the ability to control the minds of others. The red and orange groups are very scarce, and the government considers them extremely dangerous, ordering their immediate execution if found. The film leads the audience to a scene where a little girl named Ruby is throwing a birthday party with her parents. They are anxious because every child around them has passed away, and only Ruby is still alive. In the evening, Ruby goes to her mother's room to comfort her. But when she touches her mother's hand, she suddenly has a strange hallucination. The next morning, Ruby's mother no longer recognizes her as her daughter and calls the authorities to take Ruby away. Eventually, Ruby is taken to the camp along with other children. Here, every child must be examined by a doctor to confirm their abnormal abilities. Ruby is confirmed to belong to the orange group, the most dangerous group with the ability to control the minds of others. Therefore, the doctor immediately wants to inject her with a lethal poison to eliminate her. But Ruby controlled his mind, making him believe that she belongs to the green group, the group possessing superior intelligence and posing no threat. Inside the camp, there are only 3 groups left: green, blue, and yellow. Because the red and orange groups are eliminated as soon as they are found, there is no one left belonging to those 2 groups. Ruby continues to survive in the camp under the guise of someone belonging to the green group. 6 years have passed. Ruby is now grown up and working in the camp, getting reprimanded by the camp commander for making a mistake. He thinks Ruby is less intelligent than the others and begins to suspect her. However, a fellow campmate of Ruby tries to protect her and insults the camp commander. This makes him furious. As a result, he takes that friend away to be punished. The children in the camp are treated very poorly. Afterwards, the camp frequently organizes frequency tests. During this test, Ruby faints and is taken to Dr. Kate for further examination. From this examination, a staff member discovers that Ruby belongs to the orange group. Dr. Kate secretly writes a note for Ruby, informing her that they have found out she belongs to the orange group and will execute her immediately. At the same time, she tells Ruby to meet her in the boiler room. Terrified, Ruby immediately goes to the boiler room, and there, Dr. Kate is waiting for her. By this time, the alarm siren has sounded due to an intruder, and all staff members are ordered to hunt down Ruby. Thanks to Dr. Kate's assistance, Ruby manages to escape in her car. However, at the checkpoint, Ruby is almost caught, but she uses her power to control the minds of the checkpoint staff and makes them let her go. After 6 long years, Ruby finally leaves the camp. While in the car, Kate gives Ruby an emergency alarm button, which can be activated as a tracking device if she falls into a critical situation. Kate reveals that she is a member of the Children's League, a group dedicated to rescuing children from the camps and fighting against the government. Kate takes her to a gas station to meet her boyfriend named Rob, who also participates in child rescue missions. But when Ruby almost falls and grabs Rob's hand, she has a hallucination about Rob, who seems to enjoy abusing children, causing Ruby to begin doubting their true intentions. When Ruby is changing clothes in a store, she suddenly sees a little girl with the ability to control electricity. The girl runs away upon seeing Ruby, and Ruby chases after her. The girl then jumps onto a van and Ruby follows suit to avoid Dr. Kate. The girl named Zoo is mute and always wears gloves because of her powers. Zoo is with 2 friends, Liam and Chubbs. Liam is a blue group member with the ability to control objects through thought. And Chubbs is intelligent and belongs to the green group. They agree to go with Ruby and help her escape from Kate. On the way, a woman pursues them. Her name is Lady Jane, a child hunter working for money. While being hunted, Kate also tries to follow them. However, as a result, they escape safely, and they also gradually understand each other better. But Ruby does not reveal her identity as an orange group member. deceiving them that she is green. Liam says that they are traveling along the East River to find a group of children led by a mysterious figure nicknamed CINEKID. They do not know CINEKID's true identity, but it seems he is an Orange Group member with the ability to control the minds of others. Liam also mentions that the Children's League led by Dr. Kate is not a good place to stay. It turns out Liam was once a member of the Children's League, which trains children to use their powers to fight against the government. Liam disliked the concept of becoming a warrior, so he eventually left the League. That evening, Ruby and the others spend the night at a motel. At this time, Ruby reminisces about her time with her parents. It turns out she could not control her own power, and because of that, she accidentally erased her parents' memories of her when she was a child. While sleeping, Ruby accidentally touches Zoo's hand and receives a memory that Zoo was once imprisoned in a government camp. But later, she and hundreds of other children rebelled and escaped. And that rebellion was led by Liam because the trauma during her time living at the camp caused Zoo to become mute. The next morning, they arrive at an abandoned shopping mall to gather some supplies and food. They are truly happy with their moments together because they never had a normal childhood. But suddenly, their bodies are lifted and controlled by a group of people. Fortunately, Zoo uses her electrical powers to stop it. It turns out that group also consists of children with the ability to control objects through thought. In the evening, they talk about the children's organization in the East River area and the highly secretive nature of this place. They know where the East River is but cannot reveal the exact location to Ruby and her friends because it is an undisclosed secret. However, Ruby secretly uses her telepathic powers to make one of them unconsciously give a clue about the location, which is the 3 letters ED. That night, the genius Chubbs tries to figure out the meaning of EDO but cannot find anything. However, after chatting with Ruby about her father being a police officer, Chubbs begins to realize that EDO could be a radio frequency. He concludes that E is 5, D is 4, and O is 0 and uses the sequence 540 to tune the radio frequency. Finally, they receive a signal from that frequency and discover the location is at Prince Lake, Virginia. The next day, on their way, they are ambushed by Lady Jane, and she uses sound waves from her gun to paralyze the children. Fortunately, Ruby uses her mind control ability to overpower Lady Jane and punishes her accordingly. Liam and the others are surprised to discover that all this time Ruby has been an Orange Group member. It turns out she deceived everyone because she was not proud of her abilities. Sometime later, Ruby confides in Liam about her past, and they begin to develop feelings for each other. Eventually, they continue their journey and reach Prince Lake in Virginia. There, they meet children just like themselves. They are all very surprised because it has been a long time since they have seen so many children. They also meet the person known as CINEKID, and it turns out he is actually Clancy, the president's son. Clancy is an Orange Group member just like Ruby. In the evening, they throw a party and Liam and Ruby dance with each other romantically. The next morning, everyone is assigned tasks and Ruby is appointed to assist Clancy. Clancy tells Ruby that he was one of the first people to overcome the terrifying disease, and the government used him for testing to create a cure. But the doctors failed. His father, acting as a president, deceived the public that they had found a cure. Eventually, Clancy ran away and founded a children's organization where all the kids could live safely. Clancy then teaches Ruby how to harness her powers and control the minds of others without needing to touch their hands. And finally, Ruby succeeds. In return, Ruby teaches him how to erase the memories of others. However, during this process, Clancy controls Ruby's mind and tries to kiss her. Ruby is confused and angry. She hits him and leaves. Ruby and her friends finally decide to leave that place. But while trying to escape, they are ambushed by the army from the camp. Liam tries to resist, but then he suddenly faints. It turns out Clancy is the one who put him in that state. Now the truth gradually unfolds. It turns out Clancy has been the mastermind behind everything all along. Clancy had contacted the camp commander to capture all the children. Clancy even manipulates his father and controls the entire government thanks to his powers. His true purpose is to build an army of children possessing superpowers so that they will never be abused by anyone again. Ruby then uses her abilities to make the camp commander take his own life, while Zoo controls electricity to create an illusion to help everyone escape. Unexpectedly, an armed military force appears with helicopters to round up all the children. The soldiers bring along children belonging to the Red Group with the ability to control fire. It turns out they have been secretly turned into combat tools by the government, and they burn down the entire camp. The final battle also breaks out. The Red Army tries to burn Liam and his friends, but Liam uses his powers to fight back. However, Clancy suddenly appears in the middle of the skirmish and controls the minds of all the children there. Liam and the others are forced to retreat, leaving Ruby behind because only Ruby is capable enough to deal with Clancy. Ruby utilizes her powers to form her own force. However, Clancy reveals his cruel nature when he controls the children's minds, forcing them to shoot at each other to commit suicide. Clancy then tries to use the memory, erasing ability he just learned to make Ruby side with him and forget her friends. But Ruby controlled the pilot's mind, causing the helicopter to crash and explode. Ruby escapes the explosion just in time with Chubbs' help. But unfortunately, Chubbs is severely burned and heavily injured, forcing Ruby to activate the emergency alarm button to call the Children's League for rescue. The next morning, the League's team arrives to pick all of them up. Chubbs is immediately transferred to the hospital for treatment, while Zoo is adopted by a kind family. But Liam is arrested by the League because he had previously betrayed them. The League believes that Liam knows too much about the organization, so they cannot set him free. Ruby meets Kate again and negotiates to free Liam by committing to become a soldier of the League and confronting the government with them. However, Kate is certain that Liam will never leave without Ruby, and he will not allow Ruby to join the League. Finally, Ruby meets Liam. Liam says that he wants the two of them to be together and plan for the future, but Ruby is forced to erase Liam's memory of her so that he can be set free and she can join the Children's League and fight. All of Liam's memories of Ruby from their first meeting on the van, the conversations and dances together all vanish from his mind. As a result, Liam no longer remembers anything about Ruby. Ruby bursts into tears as she watches Liam leave. At the end of the story, Ruby joins and begins training with the Children's League. But everything is not over yet. The battle of Ruby and her friends still prolongs because Clancy is still alive, and a fierce fight between the two sides is unavoidable. What do you think about this movie? Please leave your comments below so we can share together. Thank you everyone for watching.